Welcome to the Intellectual Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Dawson. This is episode number 178 with Kayla Bulster. It's been very chilly here in San Diego this week, and I can't feel my fingers right now while I'm recording this intro. Hopefully my dinner will show up here. I'm at Native Foods in Claremont right now, getting ready to go see La La Land as part of the press screening, so I'm super stoked on that. Brian and I got to watch Why Him last night. That's a really funny movie. If you're into Pineapple Express and all the types of films that James Franco likes to do, you're going to really enjoy it. Bryan Cranston has got his best comedic timing, a la his Malcolm in the Middle days. And I think I can't recommend it enough. It's hilarious. It's vulgar and smart and, yeah, just fun. It's a little saccharine, but, you know, it's a Christmas movie. What do you expect? And La La Land, man, this movie just looks amazing. I can't wait to see it tonight. So we'll have reviews on all that. Well, my first reviews will be up at that'smye.com as part of my ongoing movie reviews for them, and then we'll probably repost those reviews on the Intellectual as well. In the meantime, I've got this lovely interview that we did with actress Kayla Bulster, and she is the lead actress in our recent film In Situ. If you haven't seen it, please visit the 4 Points Film Project and check it out. We are one of 28 films out of 151 films turned in on time that were selected to be voted on for audience choice. So this is your chance to help us out. Go check out In Situ online at the 4 Points Film Project. You can find links to that, I know for sure, on their Facebook page. So look for 4 Points Film Project on Facebook. You can also check out the Intellectual Entertainment Facebook page, which is facebook.com/intellectual entertainment. And all the links are available there as well. So check out In Situ and then vote for us. Help us win the audience choice for our 4 Points Film Project this year. It's 2 years in a row that we made it into the audience choice selection. So I'm very proud of the team for that. And I want to give my congratulations to all of them. And a big part of that was the performance of our guest today, Kayla Bulster. She's not been acting very long, really, which is quite surprising to me, having been her director on In Situ, and as impressed as I was with the performance that she gave. But she's a great person, an absolute delight, a lot of fun to talk to. Whitney and I had a great time sitting and chatting with her and getting to know her a little bit better, and I'm happy to present that conversation for you, so you get to know her better as well. Here on the Intellectual Podcast, episode number 178, it's Kayla Bulster.
Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The Intellectual Podcast starts now.
Like the pillows that are on the edge of the couch?
Oh, yeah, maybe. It's B-U-L-S-T-E-R.
But that's how you pronounce it?
Bolster. Mm-hmm. Like holster, but bolster.
Cool. Hi.
Hello.
So, you just got back from Disneyland.
We did.
You're wearing your big geeky Christmas R2-D2 sweater.
I am. Just because I play Pokemon Go and wear R2-D2 sweaters with my Rebel backpack does not mean I'm a nerd.
Yeah, it does. But in today's day and age, that's awesome. So.
I know. I own it. I don't care. I got a lot of compliments on this sweater, actually.
It's a beautiful sweater, but isn't it a tad warm today?
A little bit, but I had to wear it. I had to wear it. It was cold last night, so it was very handy last night, but it is a little bit warm.
All right. Just don't want you suffering at Disneyland.
Beauty is suffering. Beauty is pain. My R2-D2
even nerd beauty.
Christmas sweater.
Even nerd beauty is pain.
Yes.
Well, talking to girls at Comic-Con, nerd beauty is absolutely pain.
Yes.
All those outfits that the girls have to wear for cosplay are horribly uncomfortable.
The zipper's only ripping off half of my skin whenever I take it off. It's okay.
Completely unbreathable fabric.
Yeah.
Well, and the shoes
the
that
shoes.
you girls have to wear is just insane.
Yeah,
you were on the red carpet a couple weeks ago. We're about 3/4 of the way through the night, and she's like, "My feet are killing me." I'm like, "Comfy shoes next time."
And they weren't even bad. They were like just simple spats, maybe little heel. But you stand there long enough.
And I said, "Comfy shoes next time." She goes, "That's right. My feet aren't even on camera, are they?" Like, no. Oh, that's too funny.
Those were my comfy shoes, David.
I'm sure you looked amazing.
So what's your favorite ride at Disneyland?
Favorite ride, either Hyperspace Mountain or California Screamin'.
Is Hyperspace Mountain, is that still set up in the Star Wars setup? Or?
Yes, near the launch bay. So it's all Star Wars style. It's really awesome.
I didn't ride it. I thought they had stopped doing it, so I didn't even look.
No, it's so amazing. Next time you go, you need to ride that ride. They have a whole setup, like a whole scene in it. It's amazing.
So I've never actually been to Disneyland, and so they've now taken a whole section and made it Star Wars themed. Is that
so? Okay.
In Tomorrowland, they have Star Tours, which has been there since 1988.
Yes.
I wrote it on the preview weekend in 1987.
Wow.
They recently revamped that ride, and it is fucking kick-ass now. It's 3D.
Yes.
And crazy cool because they've set the ride up in such a way where it's in 3 sections. So the ride simulator, like you're flying through various things, but it's in 3 sections. So you go into hyperspace like twice during the ride. And they've set it up where it randomizes what your experience is on each one of those 3 sections. So when they first reopened it, there were 54 possible combinations that you could experience of the ride. And they've been adding to it with stuff from Jakku and BB-8. And so like there's probably 60-something variations now. And I hear they're already working on episode 8 content. It's very cool.
There was definitely brand new stuff when we rode the Star Tours this last time. And you know how they always pick somebody to be like the rebel spy?
You were the rebel spy.
I was the rebel spy this time. So I was like, thank you. I know. I'll save you all. And it's really cool because then they project like one of the Jedis, and this time it was Yoda. So they projected Yoda, and like Yoda looks right at you and is like, oh, we must protect the rebel spy. Like we must protect her kind of thing. It's so cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. The whole idea is you're going on a Star Tours adventure. So you're riding in a Star Speeder 1000 to go to some far off planet, and all sorts of mayhem ensues, and the Empire chases you sometimes. Sometimes you get stuck in a pod race, like whatever. The ship just never goes where it's supposed to go. Somehow
you would think C-3PO's driving it.
3PO
flying it
is in charge of flying it all of a sudden. And
do you think
it's fun? It's so much fun.
Do you think the fact that you had the Star Wars sweater was what led to you getting selected?
No, because I actually had, like you said, it was a little warm, so I was wearing like just a Henley long sleeve Henley underneath, and I was holding my sweater, so it was not for that reason. They must have just sensed the Force within me, and were like, "That's our rebel spy."
There's a Force meter as you come through.
Yes, they like totally like just check, when you.
So anyway, Star Tours is like the hot ride in Tomorrowland and in Disneyland. With episode 7 coming out last year, they took Space Mountain and they've done a cosmetic reboot to that, which they started doing a few years back. They did Rock and Roller Coasters.
Right.
And they had the Red Hot Chili Peppers soundtrack playing on the roller coaster and all sorts of cool disco lights and stuff inside the ride. So what they've been doing since episode 7 came out is they gave it a Star Wars cosmetic facelift, and they're calling it Hyperspace Mountain.
And it's really cool.
And I haven't done it yet.
Yes, it's so cool. It's really neat because you're like actually like in like a space battle basically. So it's really cool. Like they put screens in where you see like, it's really cool.
Yeah, they do projection and stuff.
They do projections.
Space Mountain.
Now, Star Wars is a big part of your life, it seems, because didn't you do a short where you were a Star Wars character?
Yes, I did. I played Commander Valkyrie, this really badass woman who leads these rebel troops to go and basically hunt down a Sith Lord. And so it was really neat. I did that. We just finished filming that over summer. So that one was really fun.
I did my fan film like 16 years ago.
I know, you were saying it's time for you to do another one.
It is. It is time.
It's time for a reboot.
Yeah, I think seeing Rogue One in another couple weeks is really going to inspire me.
Yeah. I
Not that I need the inspiration.
I think you should do another one.
No,
But back to Disneyland real quick. Before we finish, because that's just what exists right now.
Right.
What they started doing earlier this year is they actually tore away the backside of the Rivers of America. And they got rid of like the whole back half of it, and they've tore out all the office spaces and storage areas and whatever that were behind the Rivers of America and behind Toontown.
Right.
And they're building Star Wars Land.
Yeah, they got rid of the barbecue place and like where like Santa used to be and everything. So they're building a whole Star Wars Land back there. And then launch
it's huge
day,
too.
You know,
it's enormous.
In Tomorrowland, that used to be
Interventions.
The interventions or innovations.
And before that, it was America Sings.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, memories. Yeah. So then it was headquarters. Actually, it was Marvel headquarters.
Mm-hmm,
they had Captain America and Thor and everything, but that was short lived. And then they made it all Star Wars. So now it's Launch Bay, and there's Darth Vader there and Chewbacca there and everything, and it's kind of cool.
So you've been going to Disneyland for a while, it seems. Are you native to California?
I'm actually, I've been here since I was 8, but
It's native-ish.
Yes, native-ish enough so, but not enough to have lost my accent completely. I'm originally from Texas. So
what part of Texas?
I was born in Corpus Christi, and I grew up in Waco in Houston.
I went to college in Waco.
Where at?
I went to Baylor.
Oh, Baylor. Oh my gosh. We have a bunch
sick 'em Bears.
We have a ton of Baylor fans in my family. They all love love Baylor, love the Bears.
Sorry.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I spent 2 years in Waco.
Awesome.
Going to school at Baylor. That's where I met Brian.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I know Brian was from Waco.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So, small world.
Truly.
Our previous guests were from Idaho, where I was born.
Oh, wow.
Playing the geography game today.
That's pretty fun.
It's better than the last name game, which is what we were doing in New York.
That's true.
Although we did start talking to you about your last name before we started this.
Yes.
Bolster.
Bolster.
Not Bulster.
No.
No, like the pillow. Bolster.
Bolster.
Yeah. Bolster your odds.
Yes. Yes. Bolster your confidence.
There you go.
This could go on for a while.
So what happens when you have 3 nerds on the mic.
That's true. It's so true.
Oh. So what was it like growing up in Texas?
Interesting. I mean, I'm a Navy brat, so my dad was in the Navy, and we actually were in Japan for a little while as well. So our base was always somewhere in Texas, and then my mom was out in California, so we would go back and forth, California, Texas. We were in Florida for a little while. We're kind of all over the place. So
I had a similar upbringing. My dad was a Navy guy.
Yeah.
Which is oddly enough how I ended up being born in Pocatello. If you can imagine that.
That's crazy. Where's
Idaho.
Pocatello, Idaho.
Oh, Idaho.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
It's landlocked, yes?
Yes. Back then,
Navy,
the Navy's big nuke school was outside of Idaho
okay,
Falls.
That makes more sense now.
So we lived in Pocatello, and Dad took like a bus into the base to teach.
That makes more sense now.
Weird.
Yeah, you were telling me that your dad met your mom when he was in the Navy.
Yep. In Manila,
amazing.
Heard her singing in the street.
It's such like a classic
Had to go see whose face was attached to the voice.
That's amazing.
Aww.
I know.
Yeah, he fell in love with her at first sight. Mess. What a mess.
What a mess. And here you are.
I'm sorry, world. The siren song called to my dad.
The siren song.
He couldn't sail away.
That's amazing.
So you made it here to California when you were 8.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
When did you start getting into acting?
Actually,
Not acting up.
I know, right? No, okay, got it. I have always done little projects and things like that, and I've always been kind of a character. But it wasn't until 2 years ago, a year ago. I think it was a year ago, actually.
It's called a year and a half.
I know. Let's just cut it down the middle. Either way, it was not that long ago, and I needed a summer job, actually. And so I went in and auditioned for a paying theater gig and ended up getting the lead, one of the leads. And I got good feedback, and I enjoyed it so much that I said, well, maybe I'll just like kind of keep going and see what happens. So I didn't even have a real headshot. Like I took a random picture that like looked kind of good. It made it look almost like professional. And
so you've only been banging away at this with any sort of real degree of seriousness for like the last year and a half?
A year. I think it was a year. It was last September. So, or I was in the play last August. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
What theater?
It was Coronado. It was for the Fringe Festival. So we ended up, our run was at Coronado High School. Is that what it was? Where they have a nice theater there. So we did it there.
That is a nice theater.
Yeah. So we did that's where we had our play. So it was called My Big Fat Gay Wedding. It was pretty fun. It was a lot of fun.
Fringe is kind of like a crazy experience.
It is. And I didn't get to do it this year because I was doing 48-hour film project.
Which is also a crazy experience.
Yeah, so everyone basically in the San Diego acting community had to decide which one they were going to do, either Fringe or 48 Hours.
I think that happened last year too.
Yeah, they always fall like right around the same weekend, so you're basically down to picking one or the other. And I'd done the theater, so I was like, I'm going to do a film this year. So.
Well, I know people who try to do both, and they basically have psychotic episodes.
Yes, I knew someone last year who did both, and he was basically falling asleep backstage, and so yeah, the poor guy. But he made it. He survived. So
in a year and a couple of months, how many theater projects have you been in? How many film projects have you been in?
I did the one theater project. But then when I realized I really liked doing acting, I was like, I just thought maybe I should try doing film or television or something like that. So I just started doing different projects, and I kept getting onto projects in bigger roles, and then I've done some commercials, and all of them I found through like networking. So I just keep doing stuff and making little side money, fun Christmas money, things like that. But it's mostly just for the fun part of it.
Now, is it something that you'd like to transition into like a more regular thing? Or are you happy with the day job? And what is your day job? You're a teacher, right?
Yes, I'm a teacher. I'm a high school teacher. I teach American Sign Language, and I love teaching. And so I'm trying not to think too much if I had to pick between one or the other. I'm having too much fun doing everything right now. So hopefully I can keep doing it all for a while. But
I think you can. I don't know. There's no reason why you can't.
I know. If that bridge comes,
until we get like till we get a couple $1 million budget for a feature, and
exactly
you land a lead somewhere and gotta disappear for 3 months.
Plus, I really enjoy filming in San Diego, so I just think it's such a different niche here, and I like the people here. So
tends to be laid back.
It is laid back. It's laid back. It's fun.
Part of that's because there's no money involved yet.
True. So you can't be that uptight.
That's going to change when the budgets go up.
Desperation will settle in, and people will be a little more cutthroat, probably. You're right.
No, you don't understand. If I don't deliver a film, they'll break my knees.
Yes. Probably. And that's when I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go back to teaching. Y'all have fun with that.
So David's getting his funding from the Russian mob.
Yes.
Well, it is the era of Trump. So
you better make your connections now.
I just keep sliding the Trumpisms in all day today.
All day.
I usually don't talk politics.
Really?
But there's nothing political about that guy. So, I don't feel bad.
Bazinga.
Steering the ship. Okay. So
that's why I need co-hosts.
Lead us, Whitney.
You said that your day job is a teacher, and specifically American Sign Language, which is
totally cool.
Yeah, such a specific niche. What made you decide to go into that?
So I originally was an English teacher. I majored in English. I got my teaching credentials as an English teacher. Then that was during the recession. They were laying off teachers. So I had the education I needed to add computer applications, concepts and applications, and multimedia. So I added that as a credential and started teaching English, multimedia, and computer concepts and applications. But I had taken American Sign Language through high school and through college, and they needed someone to teach American Sign Language as well. So then I was teaching all of them, American Sign Language, English, computers, everything. And I realized I really enjoyed teaching American Sign Language. That was the thing I really enjoyed. So I added that to my credential, got another job at a school I used to work at a long time ago, went back to the school that I was a tutor at, and that I had to leave in order to student teach. And they hired me back full time as an American Sign Language teacher. So that's where I'm at.
And what was the initial impetus in studying sign language? Because I feel like not a lot of people do.
It's actually funny because our program is very impacted. And part of the reason for that is that we have a very solid deaf program. We have a DHH program with a large number of deaf students at our school, especially deaf refugees from Iraq. And so there are a lot of students who want to take sign language. And in East County, where I'm from, like El Cajon area, there's a large deaf population. And so it is very needed out there. And I don't know, I think I was always fascinated by it. And my grandmother, she used to work with deaf kids. And so I would watch like her videos and things like that when I was really young. But I just I had a knack for it. I have a knack for languages as well. I took Spanish all the way through high school as well. So I have a knack for languages, and I just happen to be like a kinesthetic visual person, which I think goes back into my acting. One of the reasons why I like acting as well is just I'm kind of like a, visual kinesthetic person that likes doing things. So, and that's American Sign Language.
We're both really like engaged right now.
I was just waiting to see if you guys were going to sign to each other or something.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think that would be very interesting on a podcast.
It would have fascinated me. So,
and you're all that matters, David.
Well, my show.
That's really cool, though, that your grandmother did it as well. I mean, it would be curious. There's no way to say for sure, but maybe it did impact you at a young age, seeing that, and it sort of stuck somewhere back in the subconscious.
My mom definitely says that it did. So I just remember always being fascinated with it. I vaguely remember the videos, but my mom told me I was basically glued to the TV, and my grandmother was teaching me finger spelling when I was really young. And so, but I'd only met that grandmother a couple times before she passed. So I don't know for sure, how involved I was with it. I was really young when it happened. So,
well, they say the things that we're exposed to, like before the age of 4, really have a heavy subconscious imprint.
They do, yeah.
So
they definitely do.
You maybe didn't need that much exposure to it. It's just at the right time that it just
enough to pique curiosity.
Yeah. Kind of settled in and
little child sponge brain.
Yeah.
I wish our brains could stay like that.
That would be great.
Then we wouldn't have folks like Donald Trump in office.
I got nothing.
Whitney's shaking her head right now.
I got nothing.
Just shaking her head.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah, right.
I won't bring up the orange orangutan again.
So political, David.
For another 10 minutes.
So political. We are here to talk about Kayla.
We are.
Who, while she has red hair, is not related to the
Right.
Orange Man.
Not at all.
Yeah, she's smart.
Thank you.
I still haven't shown you our silent film with the sign language.
Oh, I don't know if I should see it.
I really want you to see it.
I know. I think I have this morbid curiosity just to see what happened in it, but I'm afraid. I do want to see it.
I really want to show it to you and get your response.
Okay.
Silent
but I
film?
cannot promise anything.
3 years ago. God, was it 3 years ago now? Yeah, three summers ago. So, yeah, 3 summers ago, 2 years ago.
It was a 48, right?
It was a 48. We did a film called Unlucky Charms. And it's about a guy who's found deceased face down in a bowl of Lucky Charms.
And that was Steve, right?
Just Steve Schwartz.
Yeah.
In yet another
Poor Steve.
wonderful role that he agrees to let me put him in. He spent an entire day with his face down in a bowl of soy milk.
Awesome.
At least it was soy milk. He's lactose intolerant, so I made sure I got the right kind of milk for him.
Plus, it doesn't spoil on set.
No,
so you can
it was
just
wonderful.
keep his face in there as long as
Get
you need
as warm
to.
as it wanted, and it didn't matter, and didn't smell or anything.
Yeah.
Might have been like nice facial, the enzyme just sort of, softened all the
Yeah, you
skin.
did him a favor. You did him a
Should have
favor.
gotten him coconut milk. But it was a silent film, so we debated. How do we portray the line of dialogue that you have to have in a silent film? How do we convey the story? And the classic idea is to do the old silent film with the title cards, which worked out very well for Ryan Castleman, a focus group. They won everything that year with their silent film. They did a Charlie Chaplin tribute, which is what my first instinct was to do on our team.
Is that the one on the bus? Is there something on the bus?
They did a version of it on the bus for Film in Diego.
Okay.
So you may have seen it on Film in Diego.
Okay, I think that's what I saw.
And it worked out really well for them, but it probably wouldn't have worked out as really well for them had we done the same thing ourselves.
Right.
So my film team, Carl Backus included, who we talked about a little bit ago, they were very adamant with me that we shouldn't do a tribute film to Charlie Chaplin because somebody else is likely to do that. And so they talked me into doing this other thing. And what we all settled down on was a sign language film. Silent. And I was like, great. Who knows sign language?
Oh gosh.
Nobody in the group knew sign language. And I'm like, well, I don't want to just make it up. So we hopped on Facebook and, we spent Friday night trying to get a hold of somebody from one of the sign language groups. And, I have a friend in Texas, oddly enough, who teaches sign language and is an interpreter and, does all this work.
Go.
And I couldn't get a hold of her.
Oh.
We were unable to get a hold of anybody who knew sign language by the time we started to shoot. So we downloaded an app on our iPhones.
Well, at least you didn't use cards or something like that.
We downloaded an app on the iPhone and tried to, learn sign language as quickly as we could for the things that we needed to say.
Oh, goodness. I do want to see this.
So I'm exceptionally curious to hear your professional interpretation of our very amateur attempt.
I do want to see it. It's sad, but I kind of do really want to see it.
It sounds like it might be slightly painful for you.
I know. That's why I'm like, oh gosh, this is going to be like watching one of my kids that did not study, get up there and try to do a presentation. Probably. I kind of watch enough of that as it is, but I do kind of want to see what she came up with.
Now, to be fair, everybody who doesn't know anything about sign language loves the movie.
So there you go.
So we at least Hollywooded it.
So there you go. That's great. That's awesome.
We did cheat and put subtitles, though.
Oh, no. I'm going to have to see it.
Yeah.
And I promise to be honest.
I just had this great image whenever you're talking about your student of somebody standing up in the room. I've never actually put that much thought into it, but that is how how do you grade sign language?
Yes.
You have to watch them and see how badly they screw up.
It is very, honestly, it's draining because you watch kid after kid, and on testing days, I have this system where I put actually 2 curtains in the room, side by side parallel, and then stand 3 kids in between the curtains, and I'll test them one after the other to be more efficient. But it's a long day watching kid after kid get up there and sign, and most of them they're great. I love my kids, and most of them are very committed and motivated. But there's always those few that, they should probably just stay seated and not get back there. But, they try.
Not everybody has good hand-eye coordination either, So it's just
it's more that they don't study.
Difficult. I'm trying to be nice.
Well,
it's more that they. Most of my kids are really motivated. The kids who are really motivated, I try really hard to set it up to where every kid, no matter what their ability level is, they can succeed. Because some kids, they're not good at languages. I have some kids that have Asperger's, or they have cerebral palsy or things like that. And obviously it's going to make it much more difficult to either learn a language or to sign a language, especially for my kids with cerebral palsy. But I'm not going to mark a kid down for that. as long as they're trying and they have a grasp of the language, that's all I'm really looking for. So
I'm so fascinated now. It makes me think, you know how Chinese is tonal, and if you just change the tone slightly, it changes the whole word?
Yes.
With sign language, if you are just off in the gesture slightly, does it change into an entirely different word?
Yeah, it can. So if the gesture could be slightly changed, or your facial expression can actually slightly change, and it will change the entire meaning of what you just said, depending on your face and how you hold your face.
Oh, now I'm really curious.
Yeah. So it has a different syntax. ASL has a different syntax, different word order. And it has a different grammar in that all of their grammar is on their face. So questions, statements, commands, adverbs, those are all on the face.
That's why the facial expressions are so...
Yes. If you watch someone sign, you can see the
overly
different...
expressive when somebody's signing.
Yeah, so mouth morphemes, there's different ways they hold their mouths, and it can mean something from like short distance, far distance, someone who's tall, someone who's short, someone who's, all kinds of different things.
That's fascinating. I hadn't realized that the face was so much an important part of that.
Yeah, something you do carelessly, something you do diligently.
Huh.
That's all in the face.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
That's cool.
So now do you still want me to watch your film?
Absolutely. I'm not afraid of having not done well.
You've made your peace with that a long time ago.
A long time ago.
That's awesome.
No, but it was such a fun thing to like sit and debate with each other.
I can't wait to see it.
About whether or not somebody's sign language looked good or not for the camera.
Oh gosh.
It's like, is it believable? I don't know.
So this is so fascinating. So I actually got to work on a set with deaf people. So part of the cast, actually half the cast was deaf. And there was a consultant. He was a deaf man who works with deaf actors and with script writers. So the film was about a deaf man who meets a hearing woman, and like he kind of pulls her out of her this issue and their communication issues and everything like that. It was absolutely incredible. It was from Sean Couture, called Thin Lines. Absolutely incredible. But what was so fascinating to me was when I was on set, he would change some of the signs. So like he would change whatever words they were in order to make it look more cinematic, in order to make it look better on film. And he would go up and like, no, we're not going to sign that. We're going to sign this instead. And he would change the script just to make it same meaning, but he would change the script to make it look better on film. And I thought about it, and I thought to myself, we do that with words all the time. And we do that in acting all the time. And we do that how we hold our bodies all the time. Why wouldn't you do it with signs? Mm-hmm. So certain signs look better at certain points in the conversation. Some signs are
too subtle.
Right, some are too subtle or some are too big. And if he's trying to be subtle at that moment and quiet and reserved, then they're going to do a different sign. So it was very, very interesting. It was fascinating watching it.
Yeah, she's got to watch my movie.
Yeah.
I do. I want to see it.
This is I feel like you could go on at length about this. It's just something I've never really ever been exposed to. I know my father had one deaf friend when I was growing up.
Did he sign?
He did.
Okay.
But as a kid, I think my dad taught me a couple of things so I could, respond back to him whenever he says hi and things like that. But never even really thought about the nuances of, like any other language, there are, details. And are there dialects?
Yes. So there's different accents, regional variations, depending on where you go. Certain signs that you, for instance, like if you go northwest, someone says a pie, they're not meaning apple, they're meaning a pizza. It's kind of the same thing where
so
we have.
It's like this versus this.
not necessarily that. And thank you for flipping me off, David. If you really didn't want me here, you could have just said so. What happens is, depending on their accents, like how big they sign, how small they sign, different signs that they use instead of, West Coast versus East Coast. Like it's just the same thing as in English.
That's so cool. I could totally see how that would be very useful in your acting.
It's really interesting.
What is it about acting that you like?
I thoroughly enjoy characterization. I'm also an author. And one of the things that I've blogged about and been asked to write about by like my publicist when my last book came out was characterization. And I love character building. And I I'm a sensitive person, so I'm already always thinking about what they're feeling in any given moment. And so being able to explore different characters and different people's perspectives I just love doing that. It's part of why I like teaching.
This is another reason why I was so nervous about writing that romance. So my lead actress is an author.
And it was her idea, so you don't want to screw up Kayla's idea.
Well, just like David gave me the space to develop the character and to, build my character, I wouldn't want to step on your toes either. I'm not the end all say all in writing or storyline. So obviously, like you wrote an incredible script and it turned out beautifully on film. So, I didn't need to be there for that. There's no reason for you to be intimidated. You give me space, and I gave you guys the space that you needed to write and everything. So, and it turned out awesome.
Thanks.
So
your performance was wonderful too.
Oh, thank you.
It really came together watching you guys perform it. Like all you guys brought just incredible
Whitney and
character
and
to the characters that we were trying to portray. It was a real joy to get to direct you guys.
Really easy flow to everybody and
it was.
Their performances.
So really
I didn't know you were an author. You wear a lot of hats, lady.
I know. I do kind of, yeah.
What are your
kind of?
What are your books about?
I write young adult fiction novels. So the last one that I wrote is called Sunrise Underground. It's a young adult Christian fiction. The one before that was called Wishful Thinking. So,
do they have the same characters? Like, is it a series or?
No, the Wishful Thinking I may turn into a series at some point, mainly because I took it back from the original publisher and republished it on my own platform. So I'll go back in and like tweak it and maybe write another couple in the series. But Sunrise Underground, it was originally going to be a series, but I just kind of decided I was done with the storyline and, I didn't contact the publisher to see if they wanted another one. And plus I have like 3 other books that I really want to get writing on or that I've already started writing on. I'm kind of a first chapter snob. So I have like 5 first chapters for a bunch of different things. I have to figure out which one I'm going to do next.
So what's the storyline of the 2 that have been published?
So the first one is about genies. It's about a girl who's hiding a secret. She has something that demons want, and demons are like the nemesis of these genies. They want to take over the world. They've ruined their own world, and so they've decided to come back and try to take over Earth, basically. And genies are kind of like guardian angels. They're what keep the demons from succeeding. And Samiha, the main character, is holding something that could potentially either stop them completely or give them full reign. So that's the first one. The second one is about ninjas. My main character is
which is also
Tilly.
A story idea for the film we did the other night.
Her name is Tilly, and her mother and brother are killed. She's with her stepfather who is abusive. One night when she's leaving the ballet studio, she's attacked. She follows her rescuer down to an underground kind of city, basically underneath San Francisco, and finds the secret society of ninjas. Turns out they work for the government doing reconnaissance, and she ends up joining them and helps to stop a human trafficking ring.
2 very different stories.
I know. I have all kinds of random stories. So
how do you come up with your story ideas?
I like characters.
Because like that one sounds like you just threw a bunch of stuff in a hat and shook it up.
Yeah.
It's cool.
One thing is I like having flawed main characters. Like again, back to the characterization. I like relatable, flawed characters that are working through something. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I do like taking ideas that are kind of antiquated that you don't see so much anymore, like genies and ninjas and things like that you know of, but you don't really see them. And I like pulling them back into common or contemporary storylines. So that's kind of how they came to be, honestly.
So are you enjoying the latest run of comic book turned film art? So like they're doing a lot of that sort of stuff on Arrow, and
yes,
Marvel's been doing that with their various properties and whatnot. And so even Doctor Strange is, the mystic arts brought into the contemporary realm.
Yeah. And I do like it. I'm afraid. I'm a Marvel fan. I love Marvel. We watched Daredevil, and then Captain America fan. But I think I am a little concerned that they've saturated the film industry and the television industry with those storylines, that it's starting to become too blasé. People are almost expecting it, and there's nothing thrilling about it anymore, if that makes sense. I still go watch them and love them, but I am afraid that they're just, it's almost like, I don't know, like I said, I feel like they are kind of saturating the market a little bit. And I also would really like to see more female heroines.
Oh, those are coming.
Yeah. And I know they are. And I've heard about it. I'm a Comic-Con fan, so I know that they're coming, but it would be nice to see some different, and like obviously ethnicities as well. So, Black Panther is coming. And so I'm excited to see something different. Because it's been a lot of the same kind of.
Have you had an opportunity to watch Luke Cage?
No,
that's a pretty good one, and it's pretty much all African American cast.
Okay, I want to see Luke Cage, and then I haven't seen Doctor Strange. I know that's not going to help with my argument here, but
there's a lot of ethnics in Doctor Strange. Not as many as people wanted.
I heard that there's more mixed there, and obviously I saw the last Captain America. Where they started pulling in all these different
Civil War
characters. Yeah. Is it Civil War?
Yeah. So Black Panther was in it. Spider-Man's in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Civil War. Okay. Yes. No, I was thinking Winter Soldier. I was like,
they're all mad at each other.
Civil War. But yeah, so I enjoyed that because, like I said, there was a different mix. There's different story pulled in there. So I liked that.
Well, did you go over to California Adventure at all?
Yes.
Did you go see the Moana sneak peek?
No, we walked by it and we thought about it for a second. We didn't end up going. In. I know. And they had the little thing there and everything. We're like, we're thinking about it. We didn't end up going in there.
I've seen it twice now, the preview. I've teared up both times.
Really?
Because I'm actually seeing in animated form representation of what I see in the mirror.
I think that's so.
And I didn't realize how much impact that would have on me to see it. Till I sat there and watched it. I was like,
right?
They look like me. This is crazy.
Well, and then they have the other princess. Is it Princess Elena? Is that the other one that's coming? She's a Latina.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So they have that one coming out as well. And it's funny because my first novel, the main character is she's Middle Eastern Arabic, and then the second novel that I wrote, she is half black, half white, with this crazy afro and hazel eyes. So like I like picking people who I like building characters that are, just everyday people that we don't see all the time. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it seems like it's important to you to have that sort of expansion of who people are getting looked at for casting. So how do you feel about things like the Ghost in the Shell and casting of
Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett Johansson, yeah.
Should have been an Asian role.
I don't necessarily agree with it. I think here's the thing is so we were watching the parade at Disneyland, right? And they had is it the Princess and the Frog,
Tiana
and Prince, what's the prince's name? I forget his name. Oh, I know, I'm forgetting. And I had it.
I only saw Princess and the Frog once.
Okay, so Princess and the Frog. Long story short, so they're both African American. They're both black. And in the parade, though, the princess was black, and the prince was just a dark haired guy. He didn't look like he was Mexican or anything like that, but he just had dark hair. And I was like,
substitute generic Prince man here.
I know, and that's kind of what I said. And I looked at Rachel. I was like, he could have played Prince Charming. He could have played, but I was like, you know what though? That's actually kind of neat because kids don't see that. Kids don't see the color. And so on one hand, I don't agree with casting someone like Scarlett Johansson in that kind of role. I think that there are plenty of other actors who could fill that role and who should fill that role. However, I don't think that we should get hung up on the color of people in movies unless they're underrepresented. I think that there are plenty of good actors out there, and we should see a variety of people because there are plenty of good actors. We should not be whitewashing and looking for just white actors for roles. And that's coming from a white redhead. So,
well, like I get it. I get it if you cast somebody like Tom Cruise in The Edge of Tomorrow.
Right.
You know, partially because he fucking produced it. He wants to star in it. Let him star in it. At least the story's being told, right? You know? And Tom Cruise, let's face it, puts butts in seats. People actually go to watch Tom Cruise do
exactly.
movies. Scarlett Johansson, I'm not sold on people actually going to watch a movie just because it's Scarlett Johansson.
Right.
You know, so that casting choice to me is really bizarre.
Well, similarly, there was the complaint about the Aloha movie and the casting in that.
Yeah.
I didn't see that many Native Hawaiians.
I didn't see that
The
film.
Descendants had the same critique, although that movie was about white people who've assimilated into Hawaiian culture. So I didn't get the criticism on that movie either.
I think what it is that there's enough of it happening to where people have something to criticize, but therefore they're ultra sensitive. So then anytime something does happen and they feel underrepresented, then they'll be critical, and whether or not we agree with it or not. However, it is an issue. Same thing as, feminism, women getting roles and things like that and being underrepresented. And that's also an issue, but I'm not going to look at every guy that's casted and say like, well, that should be a woman's role. Not necessarily. Yeah. It's more that there's a lot of storylines around women, and women are underrepresented in this industry. So, which is a shame.
Yeah. Well, I love working with women on my films. I told Whitney, like, I want the podcast to be a man and a female hosting situation, great. I want both sides to be heard.
I think that's great
on the show. And when it comes to my films, my absolute equal partner in making my movies is my sister.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Because she's incredible, and she fills the gaps in things that I don't even think about,
She's awesome.
Because that's just who she is. And most of the women that I've worked with, that's been my experience. Having them around enriches the experience of what we create and what we make, because they see things that I don't see, and they bring things to the table that are really, really worth having at the table.
I think that's very smart.
It's why I like doing the story creation stuff the way we did on our 4 Points film.
That was a lot of fun and very informative and just eye-opening. It was a lot of fun doing that and being able to be a part of that writing team.
Shane Allen was talking to me. He said about an hour into it, he was like, what the hell is going on here? Because all the ideas that were being thrown out, some of them really, really out there. He's just like, I don't see where this is going. I trust him. Trust Dave. He knows what he's doing. Just trust him. He's got a process. He's like, and then the 2-hour mark hit, which is right about the timing that I told him to expect. And all of a sudden, things just centered up, and we had a through line and a story, and
and it all happened within like a 3 or 4 minute period. All of a sudden it was like bam, 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 and then we were like, okay, done. Now we got to figure it out.
Yeah, and then he goes, but it wasn't like one person came up with this complete story.
Yes,
it's like one person came up with
the puzzle,
with the plot, but then you just like started plugging in pieces of all these other things. And we got like the best of everything into this one
It sounds
script.
like the theater game where each person gets to say one word.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. Is like, and all of a sudden, all these ideas, and again, still some of the ideas were like, maybe next time, But most of the ideas, they were just, rolling. It just snowballed into this incredible, piece, and so it ended up. I thought it was awesome. I loved your script that you came up with. Taking all of our ideas and putting it into that script was awesome. So
it was a really big script.
It was a very big script, and you did a very good job.
Well, did I tell you the first draft of that script was 13 pages?
Yeah, I remember.
And I trimmed it down to
at like 4:30 in the morning.
8 1/8.
Yep.
And then it was still 13 minutes.
And it played 13 minutes.
Well, I remember throughout the day you kept going like, "Oh yeah, we just got through a page and a half in a minute, so we're good." And I'm just thinking, going, no, we're still going to have like a 15-minute film by the time we're done. It's going to have to be 7 minutes.
Well, it was all the stuff. It was all the nighttime stuff.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to rush you guys through those performances because they needed to breathe and you needed to have that opportunity to exist in those sequences. But oh man, cutting that was hard.
I can imagine. I don't know how you do it.
And I came home and Joe's like, "Well, you got a 13-minute film. Got to get down to 7. You got some hard choices to make." And he gets up and walks away.
Oh, good luck. May the force be with you.
I'm like, thanks, Joe. You're the editor. He's like, "Oh, you get to make those choices." I'm like, all right.
I like him.
Yeah, Joe's fantastic.
He's fun.
So who all have you worked with in town?
I've gotten to work with Tony Cox a couple times. I've worked with, obviously Shane, Jennifer Scabata. I've worked with, who else? I'm trying to think.
It's Mike Peterson spoke the world of you.
Oh, he was on that Star Wars, film for me. Chris Sabo. I'm trying to think. I've studied under Andrew Benny.
I've heard really good things about him.
I love him. He's fantastic. If you want individualized attention, 15 minutes of personal feedback, that's who you need to go study under. Even just, do a couple months, do like 8 weeks or something, you'll learn so much and grow so much as an actor with him. And then I worked on pitch. I was background for pitch. So I met a lot of people through pitch, which is kind of like the
How'd you like that experience?
I just like filming. So I'm good. Put me on a film set and I'm like, sweet.
Any day
14
on a
hours
film
later, I'm like,
set's a good day.
Yeah, basically. But they were long. They were overnight. We were doing nighttime baseball scenes. So it was an overnight thing and it was 14 hours and there were a lot of people who were not happy, but I'm like, here I am.
You just have to come in knowing that it's going to be hurry up and wait and bring a book.
That's exactly I'm a very patient person. So I don't
You're a teacher. So.
Yes, exactly. I'm totally fine standing there, waiting, not doing anything. I'm perfectly okay with it. I like people, so I just meet a bunch of people and goof around, and that's about it.
Whitney, you do teaching too, right?
I do.
What do you do?
I teach college theater and also an after-school drama program for younger kids. So really little ones and really big ones.
That's fun.
I taught for a little while.
And how was that?
I was a technical theater director at La Costa Canyon High School.
Oh, okay.
For a year.
Wow.
I loved it. I loved the kids. But it's just not my calling in the end.
Yeah.
Originally, I was a education major.
Oh, wow.
Baylor. And I jumped ship out of that after a semester and went theater full time.
Wow, that's crazy. That must have taken some guts.
And then a year and a half after making that decision, I jumped out of college altogether and went to work rock and roll lighting.
That's really fun, though.
It was fun.
You must have stories.
My 20s were great.
What you remember of them?
I'm still paying for them. Well, here's the thing. By the time I got to that age, I was already 10 years sober.
Oh,
so
wow.
I experienced the rock and roll time completely clean.
And watching everyone else make fools of themselves.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
there you go.
I have some stories.
There you go. That's what counts.
There's some memories, things I shouldn't talk about. Things that Brian doesn't remember.
Oh, Brian. That's fun.
So what's next for you? Do you have any, you got the writing that you're doing. Are there any acting projects that you've booked and are getting ready to do? Or
I don't have anything booked. I have a lot of...
She's a free agent, folks.
Yeah. I have a lot of... because part of it is because I cheer season just ended, so I'm also a freshman cheer coach. So cheer just ended, and I did
Hold
pick
on.
up an...
Hold on. There's another hat to put over there. Okay.
It's a pom-pom.
Yes. It's a bow.
With a little pom-pom ball on top.
Yes. So that finally just ended. So I'll be picking back up and then going... I haven't actually auditioned for anything except for, like the 48 Hour, I think, was the last thing I had auditioned for. And then you, hats off to you. You took a chance on me for this film, for doing the 4 Points film. So I really appreciate you.
Well, you knocked it out of the park. So
I really
look like a genius. So it's all
I
good.
really appreciate it, because I was like, gosh, he really took a chance. I went home and told my husband, I was like, I don't know how it happened, but somehow I got the lead. So we'll see how this happens. Hopefully he's happy with this decision. But I do appreciate you taking a chance on me, because
What
I
does
had a
he
lot
think?
of fun.
He just watched it. What do you think of what she did?
Yeah, what did you think of it, babe?
I was very impressed. Nothing short of spectacular, I have to say. So
That's his totally unbiased opinion.
I was going to say I'm a lucky guy. I consider myself luckiest guy in the universe. It's easy for me to say.
I told him to say that, folks. I told him to say that. I coached him up before he got here.
Yeah, I have facts for you, and that's just how it is. So.
He's
Well played, sir. Well played.
I was telling them earlier, like he gives such unconditional support. I'll walk out of the house with like half of his clothes and like half of our kitchen wares and like all kinds of stuff for props, and he just looks at me and goes, "Okay, when are you gonna be home?" I don't know. All right.
You're saying he had to do all his gardening that weekend without
his gardening
a
by
spade
hand,
and
because
stuff.
he had to do the gardening literally by hand, because apparently all of our digging materials and tools were still at David's house because I had brought them to set for our last film. So I'll be looking for those.
I'm still trying to figure out where everything is.
Yeah. It's okay.
I know I got Jeffrey Beach's backpack and
Oh my gosh.
It's all probably in this room.
That was
somewhere.
a very
no,
fun
his
set,
backpack's
though.
in that room.
Oh no, I meant everything else.
I think I might have Lori's skeleton.
That just
Lori's
sounds
looking for a
creepy.
skeleton. Lori is looking for a skeleton.
Well, and you and I met because of Lori.
Yes, yeah, we met because of Lori. So I've worked with Lori a bunch. There's like
She's
a whole
been on the show.
Yeah, there's a whole handful of people that I've worked with. I just have a lot of fun on each set that I'm on. Really, like they're just a lot of fun.
Well, and every set has its own personality too.
Yes, yeah, and I really enjoyed being on your set. Really enjoyed it. It was it was a perfect unit. It felt like everyone was just positive and happy, and it was just I was motivated and professional. So that was a really good set. But yeah, I'm probably gonna be working with Tony Cox. He's got a script that he's developing, and he has a role that he wants me to play. So there's a couple little things like that. Shane has one. Larry Poole and Shane were talking about doing a Western, and so they were asking me about if I was interested in doing that, and so I'm interested in doing that.
Yeah, I was talking to Larry. A Western is something I've really been wanting to do.
Me too. I would love to do a Western.
Well, and Larry has such a beautiful place to do that.
Yes, I would love to do a Western.
Not to mention Larry's just a good guy to do that with.
I know, he's so awesome. I would not have been able to pull out that role without him and Shane and Whitney. Like, it was just like my Andrew Benny always would say, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, that acting is reacting. So without someone else who's just as solid and strong, there is no performance there from an actor. So it was a really good experience, and I appreciate the people that I got to work with.
Well, I'm just over the moon with what we got. So,
I know. I think it turned out really good.
I can't speak highly enough of the experience working with you and working with Whitney. And this is only the second time that Whitney and I worked together.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
well, yeah, on film.
Yeah. So.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The 48 this summer was the first time she acted for me.
Wow. That's amazing.
So.
But yeah, our little group works together really well, so that's nice.
Yeah, and I've said it on the show a bunch of times. Like, I don't do auditions. I don't like auditions. I hate auditioning people because for me, whether or not you're going to be a good actor or an actress for me is more than just can you read the lines.
Correct.
I've spent a very long time trying to build a team around me that has a certain personality and a certain culture to it, and I evaluate people as much as I evaluate whether or not they can perform. I'm a director. I should be able to direct somebody
Right.
to a performance. So
Right.
if you can memorize the lines, we can probably get to where we need to go.
Right.
Some people easier than others, but we should be able to get to where we need to go. But can you live within the culture of the set that I want to have?
Right.
That's easily 50% of the decision for me. Like, are you somebody who is going to show up on time and put in the effort and be professional and
motivated?
Yeah, because if you can do all those things and just memorize the lines,
right,
then we can work together to figure out the performance side of that.
And it helps that you know people, especially in the San Diego industry. And so when someone recommends someone else, you can trust their opinion and go, like, at the very least, they're coming recommended, so they must have done something right on the last set. So like you said, with your coaching and I appreciate the space that you gave me in order to be able to develop that character, and the subtle coaching that I needed, whenever I was reading a line wrong.
Wrong, just different interpretation from what I saw.
Exactly, yeah. But I went back later. So there's one part where I was reacting more sarcastic because I was thinking of her kind of next scenes where she was going to be like not happy with something. And I realized later that David was right, that she needed to be more of like hiding the feelings, swallowing them, and acting like everything was okay. So it read the line very differently. And as I rehashed and we went through the dialogue later to just kind of, like I do, I realized like it definitely, David was right in how that line needed to be delivered. So,
well, I think watching it back, because I've watched it several times now, I think it really helps kind of develop a vulnerability to your character.
Yeah.
That wasn't there if you were more sarcastic about it.
Right. She's not.
Because the audience needs to be able to connect with your character and feel for you.
Right.
Not go, well, she's a bitch. Why would you take her back?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's why you have a best friend foil that can be the sarcastic little bitch.
Exactly. It was awesome. Yeah. It was much better reading. Much better reading for that line. Much better delivery.
But, I never want to give anybody line readings either, So it's like, so the challenge for me as a director and why I like kind of this style that I've settled into is we have to learn to communicate with each other.
Well, and that was the perfect part was how you communicated it. So I've worked on sets where they literally look at you and just tear you down and tell you how like, this is not right. We don't like this. And someone was like, you suck and this and the other. And so you go, how are you reading how she's reacting right now? It's like, well, she's sarcastic because she's like thinking she doesn't want to be doing this, And you're like, well, I think maybe she's more vulnerable. I think maybe she's, feeling like this. And I was like, oh, okay. So, we worked out how she might react. And next thing you know, we got it. And that was perfect because like you said, it's not, and I use the wrong word wrong because it's not wrong. People react different ways. One person might cry when they're frustrated, whereas the next person might throw a something across the room when they're frustrated. Everyone
that's me
does it differently. Everyone reacts differently with the same type of emotion. So it's just what kind of delivery do we want and what's going to connect with the audience, which was perfect. So
and that give and take is why this is a collaborative art,
right?
Well, and I like to ask before I give let's try it this way kind of deal. I like to ask the actors, why are you delivering the line that way? What's your interpretation of this scene?
Yeah.
Because your interpretation might be better than mine.
I liked that. I liked that you asked.
But I want to know where that interpretation is coming from and then have that moment of my own to kind of reflect on it and think whether or not that fits in with the overall picture.
Right.
Because that's the director's job is to think how everything fits together, And sometimes when I've asked that question of an actor, they're like waiting for me to give them the change.
Yeah.
And I sit back and go, oh, okay.
Well, similarly,
because it made sense. All right, yeah. It was good.
Similar thing I found teaching and like coaching scenes. Oftentimes, your actor will be dead on the exact same thing that you were talking about, but it's just not reading that way. And so then you have to look to for me, it's not reading this way. Why not?
Right.
And what can we do to tweak it? Because that intention dead on. So.
Yeah, well, like even our previous guests, the guys from For the Win, we were talking about their first episode of their web series, and they went back and redid it like 4 times or something.
Wow.
Not because it was shot wrong or poor or whatever. It's just once they like got into the edit room and started putting things together, the comedy and stuff wasn't quite working the way they thought it was when they were on set, you know? And so they had to keep kind of almost workshopping their first episode before they got it to a point where they're like, okay, now it's working.
Okay.
And then I guess everything from that point on went easier for them because they kind of found the groove.
Which, how nice is that to have the time to
I know, I was thinking, like, you can't really do that with like, the 4 points. You're basically there. But that's why you have to be a patient person in this business. You cannot be, patience is really a good virtue to have. Yeah.
Well, and, you know, you have to make decisions about what kind of filmmaker you are, regardless of what's going on around you. Mm-hmm. So, like, taking the time to chat with you about that scene, I mean, we were running out of light.
Right.
You know,
but it needed to be delivered differently.
Yeah, but I still didn't want to compromise how I want to be as a director just because the light was running away.
Right.
It was like, okay, we're going to talk this through.
Well, because if you compromise how you are as a director, then you're not going to get the performance no matter what conversation you have.
Yeah.
It's
a slippery slope. Once you start giving line readings to somebody, like it's hard to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Because I did that a lot early on. I also didn't. It's funny. My early films, the biggest critique I got from actors was, I have no idea if you're happy with what I'm doing or not. You just like yell action, cut, and then we move on. Am I doing okay? And I'm like, if I'm not giving you notes, then yeah, of course you're doing all right. You know?
I've kind of learned that a lot of directors are like that. So it's kind of a no news is good news kind of thing. So, which is why I have worked on sets where there was no news, but then I would hear later, no, I don't like how we do 12 takes. And then later on it's, no, we didn't really like that. And I'm going, well, but you didn't say anything when we were filming. So
maybe give me some direction.
We could have changed it right then, Mr. Director, sir.
There is the rare occasion, though, where you try to direct and you direct and you direct and direct, and they just don't get where you need them to get.
Yeah. That must be frustrating.
It's rare. It's rare, but it happens. But no, I love the collaboration process. And I love, because I've been doing this now for almost 17 years. And I feel like I'm just, in the last like year and a half, 2 years, just finally finding the groove as a director.
Well, you must have with all the awards and everything you're winning here.
I guess.
It seems like you're doing something right.
Yeah. Well, I've given it more effort the last couple of years because of the wonderful family situation that I have. They've given me the freedom to make filmmaking like the 90% of my life. Whereas before it was like 50-50. I had to work, pay bills, and then try and film around that. So now I'm like, I'm going to do 4 points, and that's all I'm going to do for 4 days. They're like, okay, good. Let us know how we can help. Great. I'm not going to be able to pay my phone bill this month. Can you pay that for me? Yeah, that's good. We got it.
Are you hungry? Yep, hungry too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, food be good. Okay, we'll fill your cabinet for you. Well, you know, I mean, it's a mutual thing. I mean, all Brian wants to do is make movies. All Teresa wants to do is make movies. Yeah. But, you know, they've got a 6-year-old and they have to put a roof over their kid's head, regardless of whether I'm here or not.
Bruce,
overrated.
I mean, it's nice.
I just need a tent.
Yeah, overrated.
Really, just a plastic bag and a stick. I mean, that's all I need.
Can you just give me?
It's nice and I think important to have that family support. And if you have other creatives that are in your family, then that's nice because they understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Do you come from a background of like creative entities in your family?
Yeah. My mom kind of tried her hand at acting a little while ago. And then we both paint as well. So I paint acrylic.
Yet another hat.
Another hat. And then my sister also likes acting. She was on our set. She was one of the extras. So she's trying to kind of find worm her way into the San Diego film.
She's got a beautiful smile and the one cutaway shot of her.
I know.
It's reveal.
So she's also interested in acting as well. So yeah, I guess my family is creative. And then I'm going to give your sister some lines. My mom used to sing. She doesn't play any instruments anymore, but
I just figured out I'm going to give your sister some lines in the reshoots.
Oh, cool. That would be awesome. Yeah. She would love it. I'm speaking for her, but she'll
real
love
small
it.
thing, but yeah, she'll get some lines in the next cut.
Oh, she'll love it.
There you go.
I can't wait to tell her. I'll text her right now.
She's like, I've already agreed to this for you, so
letting you know right now.
Doing
it's set in stone. It's been said on a podcast. It's basically like writing on the wall at this point.
It's been etched in the cement of the internet.
Of the podcast internet.
It'll never go away.
These shows last forever, at least until Dave stops paying the hosting bill. But it was wonderful having you and your sister on the set. And I very much look forward to all of us getting to work on another film soon.
I really hope to.
Sooner than later.
Yes.
We need to write a feature-length film that has 3 redheaded sisters.
There you
Just
go.
a suggestion.
There you go. There you go. Right?
What are you trying to do to me?
What? I mean, we got a lot of redheads to work with.
I know. Seriously.
It's like a dream for me. You have no idea.
There's a bunch of redheads on set. That's funny.
I love it.
That's awesome.
We did a podcast in New York, and I found myself in this studio apartment with
Gracie Teresian,
Whitney, and my friend Melanie. And I look around, I'm like, I'm surrounded by redheads.
That's awesome.
This is
funny.
amazing.
That's funny.
Yeah, I got a thing for the red hair.
Well, gingers, we're pretty cool people, you know, except for that whole sun kills us thing. But other than that.
Dying species. We're also like a dying breed, apparently.
Well, I like rare.
We're going extinct.
It's rare. The rarity is nice. Just going to leave it at that.
There you go.
He agrees. Yeah, see?
It's true.
But no, it was a really wonderful set, and
I agree.
You know, I definitely want to get the team together to do more stuff. So
Absolutely, you just say when.
Just got to get over my hang up about asking people to do stuff outside of the film competitions. Whitney's looking at me like, "Come on, do it. Everybody else is doing it. Why aren't you?"
I mean, as much as I think we all love the constraints and challenges of the 48 and the 4 points, it's like you were saying earlier, having the time to breathe, having the time to workshop things.
Right.
I think you can find some really magical, creative moments out of that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what Things Happen was for us, the film that I won Best Director on. We took 10 days to shoot that. Lefty as well. We took 10 days to shoot Lefty over the course of like 4 months. So those were 2 films that we very specifically said, you know, we're going to take the time to shoot these and really stretch out the time it takes and not force ourselves to do everything in a day. It made a difference. It really did. So...
Well, I'm excited to see where this film goes, and I do hope to work on a project outside of a competition with you.
Well, Teresa wants to workshop the next script, the way we do the 4 points in the 48 with the group. So, you know, if you're down for that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think that's
be good.
One of the next meetings we're going to call is a story meeting.
Very cool, yeah.
Spend 3 or 4 hours just throwing stuff at the wall. I think we might do the same sort of thing, though, where we, like, pull a genre out of a hat.
That would be fun. That'd be like a fun little game.
Yeah, so we'll use some of the constructs from those competitions to, you know, push us forward on stuff, but
cool.
We won't have the same time limits. So
you can have like everyone bring a line, everyone bring a genre, and everyone bring a prop.
Yeah,
make it like an improv game or something, and then just see what we come up with. Throw it all in a hat and see what happens.
I come up with a lot of stuff with that.
I know.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can come up with a couple of scripts because we got a couple of different screenwriters. Like, I write. You want to take a crack at writing? Steve Schwartz writes. You know, like we could easily come up with 3 decent story ideas in a night and
absolutely
put 3 scripts together.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, my thought was do the story creation thing like that, walk away with enough to write scripts, and then like give the screenwriters like a week.
Even better
to come up with a draft.
Yeah,
we can poll our audience on the Intellectual Podcast to send us one line of dialogue.
Oh, look at her getting all interactive with the
That
audience.
would be really fun. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that could be fun. They'll get credit for their line and stuff in the credits.
A line or a character or something like that.
Look at this
Tap
one.
into that collective conscious.
Look at this
There
one.
you go.
Okay, so there you go. We'll start putting that out there on the podcast.
Let's do this.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll take ideas until the end of the year.
Okay.
In January we'll do our pitch meeting. Put the
You've
stories
heard it
together.
here first. Make us say stupid things in our films. Go for it.
We're going to crowdsource our stories.
Yes. I can't wait.
So cool. Well, thank you for sitting and chatting with us. Thank you for letting
Thank you
us
so
borrow
much
her
for having
again.
me.
My pleasure.
I think we're going to keep borrowing her for more stuff. So, if you don't mind,
He's so supportive. He's okay with
and
it.
occasionally we'll borrow your spade and your
Yes, and your
rake.
clothes and your
I still have my hands. So
tools and everything else. Oh, poor guy.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.